5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello, guys and girls, and welcome to episode 14 of the VR Inside podcast. So this is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show that is live streamed every Saturday on Nathies YouTube channel. You can tune into the show live at 4 p.m. in Europe, 3 p.m. in the UK, and 9 a.m. in Central US. If you missed the podcast, you can catch up with it every Sunday where I upload the whole show to my own YouTube channel, Virtual Reality Oasis. Or alternatively, you can check out the audio-only version, which is going to be available on Google Play Music and on iTunes. If you've got any questions, comments, or feedback during the show, chuck them in the chat and we'll try and answer as many questions as we can. So I'm just going to quickly whiz around the room, introduce you to these guys. Not like any of them need any introduction. But this guy, he loves memes, but especially memes in VR, and that is Nathie. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, man? I just got my Virtual Boy.
That is sick.
You like it?
Yeah, I really like it.
It's very nice, and it works too. It has a really catchy soundtrack at the start, so yeah.
I thought it never
nice.
worked, but yeah, that's just me.
That's the next level there. You're
Haters.
going next level.
You haters, this is the next level VR, yo.
Yeah. We all know that Rowdy doesn't play nice with other people, so that's okay.
That's true.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that kind of brings me on nicely to this guy. He does like to paint the town red, and in VR also, and that is the RowdyGuy. You've been playing that game recently, right?
Yeah, I played it. Actually, I have another episode planned of it as well. I think there's only 2 levels at the moment, so it's not that extensive. But it's fun. I mean, I like punching people in the face in VR. And in real life, of course, you know, the rowdy guy that I am.
Yeah. Wasn't it you, Rowdy, last week who said just peer through the nose hole when there's someone you don't like and just give them a big dig in the face, right?
That was probably me. I don't know, but it was probably
It sounds like him. It sounds like something he would say.
I'm a nice guy.
And then
from time to time.
And then finally, our reporter that was out in the wild last week is back in the studio. It is Zimtok5. How you doing, mate?
Thank God there's icicles hanging off my balls still. All right.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. You look so cold out there. He was only wearing a jumper.
I was so cold. Good to be back home.
Nice, in the warm.
You could see his temperature, like, of his face, like, change, like, as the episode progressed. Like, it was fairly red in the beginning. It was like blue at the end.
Yeah, somebody call this guy an ambulance. Yeah. And last, but by no means least, myself, the host of the show, Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis. So we've got a full episode for you guys today. We're going to be talking about Wipeout on the PSVR, Firewall 0 Hour, which is a new military first-person shooter, also on the PSVR. We've got the Justice League experience, new home and dash features for Oculus, and Standout VR, which is another PUBG clone in VR. So we've got a full show for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. And what I'm going to do at the beginning of the show, I'm going to kind of flip it on its head a little bit. We normally do this bit at the end, but I kind of thought, well, variety is the spice of life after all. We'll do it at the beginning. So I just wanted to ask you guys what you've been up to this week and what games you guys have been playing. So to kick it off, I think I'll start with Rowdy. What have you been up to, dude?
Yeah, actually, I just went to like a virtual reality arcade, and I got my girlfriend to play some VR. Yeah, it was pretty neat. Like, it's the first one that I've been to in Belgium, and stop at Nathie. And yeah, we got to play like some multiplayer together. And we did some Elven Assassin together in multiplayer. It was pretty neat to try that one out. And then she tried, like, you know, the starter VR experience. It's like the blue she did, the lab, and she did the Richie Splang experience. Was hilarious.
Oh, right, yeah.
She has a fear of heights, so it was hilarious to see her do that. Yeah.
That's really cool. I love it.
Really liked it.
Yeah, it's nice to like get people involved, like loved ones and family members in, so they can actually fully understand what you've been going on about and dedicated so much of your time to, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting because like VR arcades are like a new upcoming industry, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we're probably gonna work together. It was in I mean, I don't know if there are people from Holland or Belgium listening, but it was in Ghent that they have a virtual reality arcade now. It's called Be Virtual. It's pretty neat.
Okay. And do they use HTC Vive there, or?
It's HTC Vive. Yeah, HTC Vive.
Yeah.
At least those are the ones that I saw. I don't know. They probably have like other systems as well, but the ones that are set up are all for like room scale and stuff like that. So yeah.
Right. Because I've heard that there's actually a pub in London that is like a VR pub. Yeah. So they've got like booths set up like with green screens and stuff, and then they've got screens above each booth so you can see what they're seeing whilst they're experiencing VR, and then have a couple of beers as well. So if we're ever all in London together, like we have to go and check this pub out because it sounds awesome.
Cool, definitely.
Woo! Let's get together and do things in a room that we could just do now, but from our own rooms.
But with beer. But with
wait
beer.
to shatter my dreams with him.
I'm sorry, but we're together. We're not making going in VR like that.
True, that's true. But yeah, it'd be cool to hang out anyway with you guys.
I'll go to a pub with you, all right?
Yeah.
I've been waiting to do that.
Let's just drink beer together. Let's skip the VR. Yeah. So what else? Have you been playing anything else outside of virtual reality arcades?
Me, I've played, Reaching for Pedals. I think I mentioned that in the last episode as well. I just recently released a video on that. It didn't do so well on the channel, but it's actually a really cool experience. I think it's
I really liked your video, Rowdy.
Yeah, it was a VR walking simulator, basically, just with some really cool voice acting. Actually, it was like very poetic and very relaxing. It was something interesting, something different from what is available on the regular.
It's like a VR version of Dear Esther.
Yeah,
that's what that
exactly.
was.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of as well. And then I've played the Painted Town Red Guy, Kung Fu Town VR. I did that one as well. Yeah, it was fun.
Nice, man. Nice, man. What about you, Zim? What you been up to this week?
I think the one that mainly took the center stage this week was probably Serious Sam 3 on like hardcore mode with 5 dudes.
Interesting.
I've gone through so many Serious Sam titles now. Their standalone Run the Lost Hope. I didn't like that myself because it was like, I can't circle strafe. This is Serious Sam. This is not right. And so I gave that feedback to the devs. I'm so glad they came out with number 1, number 2, and now number 3, which is their Battle for Earth. I'd never played it in 2D, so it was nice to play it fresh from the start. I'd say we got a good 7 or 8 hours out of it, and a run with like 5 people. When you've got like hordes of things coming at you, it's really bloody good, honestly. Like you're just about to crest a hill, and all of a sudden, a sea of those, headless, screaming bomb arm dudes comes running at you. That's a really good experience. You do lose yourself a little bit in it, so. Otherwise, it's quite an arcadey experience. So,
yeah,
that was good. Like I like the multiplayer stuff, but I also have just started dipping into Heart of the Emberstone. So the gallery. I got to a bit where, let's just say there were corpses flying around a particular little, and I spent about a good 15 minutes in there just chucking bodies around. I gotta say. It feels like a weird start to the game. Like I played the gallery, and I thought it was really well composed start to finish. It kind of feels odd at the beginning. So I'll be really keen once I finish it off to get your guys' opinions on the parts that you thought were strong and weak in that game. Other than that, I think Standout, which I think we're going to talk about a little bit later. So
yeah,
like them.
Yeah. Heart of the Emberstone is one that is on my list that I just keep on looking at my ever-growing list of games that I need to play, and I'm just like, oh man, I just don't have time right now to play this, but definitely want to check it out at some point. So what about you, Nathie? What have you been playing this week, man?
I haven't really been playing that much. I played Kung Fu Town. That almost destroyed my controller.
Did it not? I thought you actually broke it. No.
No, of course not. I mean, this is it's YouTube, Zim. You know how it works. But no, I didn't broke it. But at the end of the video, I did say like, "Hey guys, it still works." And yeah, I had to click it back in, but it still worked. And I also played the Droid Repair Bay, the Star Wars one. Lots better than the previous one, Trails of Tatooine.
Yeah,
This one was a little more, fun in a way. It's basically a little experience where you need to repair like 5 droids or something, and then something cool happens at the end. And that's about it. It takes you around 10 to 15 minutes to finish, but it was great and it was free. And I think that's nice. If you want to promote a movie, then the experience should be free.
Yeah,
just hinting to Justice League VR a bit.
I mean, you guys played there's that Star Wars Hollow Ball game, whatever. You get the lightsaber. It's like a HoloLens, but
the Lenovo.
Yeah. Has anyone played that?
No, but we know people that have got one, so I guess we could ask them what their impressions were and maybe put it on the show next week or something.
I think it's just a standalone thing, right? You can't play other games with it.
I think you need your phone for it too, right?
Yeah, you need a phone with it, and it's $200. It's like bloody hell, bloody expensive entry.
Very strange product, really. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Mike? What have you been playing?
Yeah, so same as Nathie, really. I checked out the Droid Repair Bay, and yeah, totally recommend you go and check it out. Obviously, it's made by the Industrial Light and Magic guys, so it's got this real nice polish to it, and it just captures the magic of Star Wars really nicely in a little experience. Great for like families and kids as well to get involved, and yeah, like hypes you up for the film. Like the film's coming out really soon, like 15th of December.
So excited.
So are you guys booked tickets, or you pre-ordered any tickets
I've got
for
kids.
the movie?
I'll see it on Blu-ray when
it's in the bargain bin or something. Yeah.
I'll live stream it. I'll live stream it to the channel so you can watch it soon.
Oh, nice, man.
Wow.
This is very considerate of you.
Let's do a VR Inside podcast where we stream the movie.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And then we watch it at the same time, right? Yeah.
Oh God, guys, defense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I'm pretty hyped about the movie. I'm really looking forward to this one. I didn't really rate the last one, Rogue One, that much. I preferred the previous one. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this one. But I've also been playing Doom again. Like, I know we talked about it last episode, but since then I've played the full locomotion mods that are available for the Oculus Rift. And I understand there's also a full locomotion mod for the HTC Vive as well. It really, like, having played it half and half, like half teleport, half full locomotion, it really changes the whole feel of the game. It feels like Doom when you play it full locomotion mode. It's very fast paced. You can strafe, you can spin around, you're firing off like rockets at enemies, and it just feels great. But it is kind of intense. So if you're new to VR, then maybe take it a bit easy, and check out the teleport instead.
How easy is it to set it up, the locomotion mode?
Yeah, it's the first step of it on the Rift is easy because it just does the forward and sideways motions, like with the left thumbstick. But it's the snap rotation or the smooth rotation that takes a little bit more work, and you have to set it up every time. So it's not really easy. I would like it to be implemented, obviously, natively by the developers. But it's a good workaround. It takes like 5 minutes, but it's worth the effort if you're going to play it. That's what I would say.
So I'm really confused. What does the mod do that the game doesn't offer at the moment? So you're talking about with motion controllers then?
Yeah, it basically just maps keyboard controls to your touch controllers. So you use a keyboard emulator on your touch controllers, and it does, like, the scripts are already pre-written, so you just kind of have to load them up. So it is kind of simple in that way, but there's some commands that you have to enter when you get into the game. You have to pause it, go to like the command, and then type some stuff in and hit enter, and then that enables you to do the smooth rotation.
Well, so basically, just watch a video, of someone showing it off on a tutorial. I mean, that's how I did it.
Because, like, you're saying, so modded, you can get it working on Touch or Vive, I take it, and then standard, what they offer, they do gamepad anyway, right? So
yeah, but still, it's nice to have like touch controllers. You can still obviously move your hands and stuff. It's nice.
Right, yeah. So you can like separate your guns and like shoot akimbo style and like that if you wanted. Okay, got it. Yeah.
Like I love the super shotgun in that game. It just feels so right.
Oh yeah.
And just like really sliding around the place and just taking people out with that super shotgun is really, really cool. But yeah, so if you played Doom, I definitely recommend you check out the locomotion mods if you're kind of a bit of a VR veteran and you've got the VR legs for it. That's what I would say.
Good caveat.
Yeah. So moving on to obviously our first topic, we're going to be talking about Wipeout PSVR. So like PSVR are killing it right now. Like they're doing so well. Was it 2 million headsets now or something ridiculous?
Really sold and 1 million in the last quarter, I think.
Yeah. Really impressive.
500,000 in the last quarter. Yeah.
Really impressive. So they've got the PlayStation Experience 2017 going on as we speak. It's happening right now in California. But before the event, they announced some things that they're going to be showing off, and Wipeout PSVR was one of those. So essentially, it was if you bought the Omega collection previously on PS4, which includes Wipeout HD, Wipeout HD Fury, and Wipeout 2048, then you get this VR mode for it for free, essentially, as a free update, which is really, really cool. I love it when developers do that. The same with Payday, right? Payday 2, when they just implement a VR mode for a game and it's free. I just love it when they do that. So that's really, really cool. Props to the developers for doing that.
It extends the user base, basically. It just extends the user base. Yeah, it's nice.
Absolutely. But one of the things, like when I checked out the trailer, which I'm sure you're playing now, Rowdy, is that it looks super intense. Like being in a cockpit of a Wipeout like sled or whatever they call them, it just seems like it was going to be a pretty intense experience. What do you guys think of that?
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I played Redout. It's called Redout.
Redout.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was like a fun thing to play. So I'm sure that's gonna be like super crazy. I'm not very good at these kind of games, but I mean the fact that the environments are so beautiful, and especially if you got those maps where you got like a mix of like 6 environments, and it goes so fast that suddenly you're on Mars, and then you are like flying upside down, and you see your friends like there is no gravity and stuff like that, and it goes crazy. I mean, yeah, it's very fast paced. I'm sure it's gonna be a pleasure for the eyes.
And again,
it's actually, you touched on a really important piece of that puzzle, I think, Nathie, which is the friends systems. Like the friend system, I had a moan about it this week because the friend system on PlayStation I find to be quite cumbersome. It's not as bad as Nintendo. Nintendo, the whole exchange of friend code and all that, but grouping with people when you're not in the room with them, from afar, can be a bit of a challenge on that console compared to the ease of getting people together on, like, I know we're going to touch on home a bit later on, but getting people together on the Rift is pretty easy. Obviously, Steam is super easy. It's probably the easiest of the lot. But those are barriers that I see in the way of games like this, because if you can arrange and have people to playing together, bloody awesome time. Like, really good to kind of race. I love Redout. I'm a huge Redout fan. I'd sit down and play it with anybody anytime, really, because it's super fast. But I wonder what the implementation is going to be like. I mean, to drive those visuals that fast to 90 frames a second and the requirements that are on the PlayStation, I'm wondering how downsampled it's going to have to be. So for a racing game, obviously it's one of the places where you guys will remember the earlier headsets, the racing, the apex of the corner, or trying to crest a hill. That's where you notice actually pixel density and resolution most in a racing game, where you're focused on this pinpoint. There's another thing I'll mention when we talk about standout, which is similar to that, but I think it may stress the game just a little bit. But I'm excited for it because I love fast-paced racing stuff. So the fact that they're doing it for free, I think any developer who does that, the opposite to kind of recoding your game from scratch, like Skyrim or Doom or Fallout, like the recent examples from Bethesda, it's kind of a two-way street. I think it's a double-edged sword, because if you release it free, you kind of ease things out for yourself, and also can be a positive thing for the VR, because they can be patching stuff in kind of live and nobody can really complain about it because, hey, you got it for free. Whereas if you put a price tag on it, maybe it'll drive quality that little bit more, but it also might shackle you a little bit, because you're feeling like, well, people have paid for this experience. I can't just go in and inexorably break the thing.
I think as well, because of the intense nature of the game, almost it had to be that way. So there is another way to play it if you can't stomach it, because even the CEO of Sony Interactive said this. He was like, you'll have to supply your own air sickness bags. We can't give you any help with that. And that was from the CEO, which is Sean Layden. So he knows that, like, it's a super intense experience. So like the fact that it's free and it's like an add-on VR mode kind of makes it okay to push the boundaries and make it super.
But I love how savage PlayStation is right now. Like they don't really care about logo at all. It's like everything is there, and now suddenly PC is getting downgraded a bit. It's like if you like locomotion, all kinds of locomotion, go to PlayStation VR right now, man. Like PC is like falling behind in a way.
Yeah. But also, it's so smart what they're doing, because they know they have sold already so many headsets, and the only way to keep those those headsets coming in is by making sure there's like new experiences every time that someone logs in. And this is again one of those experiences that VR users get now basically for free to experience in virtual reality. It's such a smart move, move. And also, I think since we were talking about arcades in the beginning, this is also one of those titles that would work really well on an arcade, I think. If you can just race together with your friends and like everyone in their own little cockpit, it's going to be so cool.
Yeah. It's funny because like the original Wipeout was one of the first titles I ever bought on the PlayStation when I bought one. So it's one of those franchises that I really, really love. And it's kind of a shame because I don't have a PS4. So I'm gonna miss out on this one. But like you said, Zim, if this kind of floats your boat and you don't have a PS4 or a PSVR, then check out Redout, sorry. And Radial G is another one as well, which is like a kind of a sled 0G racer. So they're both available on Steam VR, so you can check those out. But you're a big fan of Redout, right?
Redout is great fun, smooth. The thing that they got right with that, and I don't know if Wipeout's gonna be able to hit it as well, is the music. The music in Redout is so pumping and driving. Like I would take that soundtrack and drive on it. Well, actually, maybe not because I get in trouble. But you know what I mean? Like it is really, and just like Doom, the soundtrack is like half the experience. Like the sonic effect of just being driven to, in that case, driven to murder. In this case, driven to drive. You know, like pedal to the metal.
Yeah, you don't want to be listening to that one in your car.
Both things you don't do in real life. Yeah.
You don't want to be driven to murder while you're driving around. No, that's not cool.
Well, we need that. We need that. You know what game I'm thinking of?
Go on.
Carmageddon.
Oh, right, yeah.
I want to see bodies flying up my dash. Wiper blades going and bits of arms and stuff.
Getting
really
demonetized on YouTube is not enough. Right? We also need to get demonetized on Twitch.
I like.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on from Wipeout PSVR to another PSVR title that was announced at PSX, and that is Firewall 0 Hour. So this is a tactical shooter, which is going to be released. It's made by First Contact Entertainment, so they're the same studio that brought you ROM Extraction. And this is going to be a team-based 4v4 game that can be played either with the DualShock 4 or the PlayStation Aim controller. And it's going to be exclusive for the PSVR for now, but maybe come to other platforms in the future. But it kind of really reminds me of like Rainbow Six Siege, that kind of style of gameplay. It's very tactical. You know, you kind of work together as a team against the 4 other players. What was disappointing for me is that it's kind of a competitive multiplayer game, whereas I would prefer it if it was just a co-op experience as well. So I don't know if you guys remember the Rainbow Six 3 when that was released. They had a really nice co-op experience where it was when like Xbox Live was fairly new, and you could hook up and like take down terrorists on a terrorist hunt together, and that was really nice. I'd prefer to do that in a way than jump into the competitive multiplayer. But what about you guys? Is this kind of floating your boat?
Well, first of all, you mentioned that they made ROM Extraction. What the heck happened to ROM Extraction in the first place? I know that it was like a very short, polished demo of like 5 to 10 minutes. It was kind of like raw data.
Yeah.
Did they finish that?
I never actually played it.
Oh, I played it. It wasn't good.
Right.
No,
but like Nathie, you never saw the actual product come out. I don't remember it actually launching.
No. Right. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, maybe they started focusing on the Rainbow Six.
They might have just killed it, right? They might have just said, "Hey, we got to drown this puppy," right?
Like you say, especially if it was in direct competition with raw data.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, but I watched the gameplay. It looks interesting, but this is the thing. Like trailers are always looking nice. We gotta wait until someone actually gets their hands on the game.
Yeah.
Some people that actually got a legit opinion too, because we also got people that write stuff, and it's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, it looks nice, but what I noticed is every time we see a game coming out that is kind of like Rainbow Six, it's still not really advanced in a way where I can have like a rope and I can like smack myself through a window or, put like breach charges on stuff. And there's really like some impact going on. It's more like an arcadey kind of shooter that kind of suits up in a way where it's like terrorists versus, Rainbow Six Siege, just like something you spent like 20 to 30 minutes on trying to like put drones under like doors and stuff like that, and really like it's intense. It's not a deathmatch Call of Duty thing dressed up as Rainbow Six Siege, if you know what I mean.
Isn't it going to compete with the how's it called, Team Bravo? That's another PSVR title.
Yeah. I don't know what.
It's a PSVR exclusive, did they say, or does that hasn't been mentioned?
It's exclusive for now, so it might come to other platforms in the future.
But I think six to 12 months. Yeah,
exactly. But I think like what I would love, and if there's any devs listening, like this is what we want. So this is what I want anyway. So it kind of like Rainbow Six. So like you just got the scenario, right? There's a house there. There's hostages in there. There's terrorists in there. You got to go and sort them out. So you have a little nut up with your team, right? Okay, Nathie's going to take the back door. Zim's going to go through the roof. Rowdy's going to go through the cellar. I'm going to go through the front door. This is what we're going to do. We can do like hand signals. We can communicate via radio if you want to, and just like work tactically together as a co-op experience, just taking down AI.
I ain't going through the cellar.
Well, you can come with me. I'll look after you, Rowdy. Don't worry, bro.
I don't know. 4v4 sounds pretty bloody good. Like I have always preferred a human opponent to a because you can outsmart a bit of script, a bit of code. Even at the best AI that I've seen in games, you can generally establish some kind of feeling of a pattern. But humans are bloody chaotic. Like it is just I mean, if Rowdy's any human to show, I mean, he's just chaotic. He's just all over the place. But pin the guy down.
Getting Rowdy to play with other people is going to be difficult, Zim. We all know this.
I don't like other people.
I've been seeing this on like Twitter a bunch lately, where people are like, "Why don't I like other people? Is there something wrong with me?" And want to play on their own or whatever. But
just refer to Rowdy.
I can see a piece of that. If you want to have a good time, you want a more of a vanilla experience or more of a.
The thing is, I kind of want the focus of the game to be about us communicating as a team and doing something, working together, like rather than just taking out the other team in a way. Like that's why
I know what you mean. Yeah, you don't want to be.
I think the replay value is a lot higher if you make it more like where there's some depth in it too. Where there's more to it, more layers in a way. Quick update though, they seem to still work on ROM extraction. They said we're still alive. We just been heads down working on new content that we are excited to share you and the VR community. I don't know if that's that's gonna happen or not. Like the game came out December 7th last year, so it took them a year to maybe bring some new content. So I don't really know about this, but they seem to still work on it. Next to this PlayStation VR title, but
But I think we've seen this so many times when devs tend to release like demos or early access of stuff way too early, and then like it gets kind of forgotten about, and then they release, and then it's kind of a bit of a whisper release, like, oh, everyone's already seen it already in a way. Do you know what I mean? Because like people like us make videos of it, they get hyped, and then because the release date is so long away, the hype drops, and then something else is more interesting.
This is a year, Mike.
Hang on, I gotta say this. Cough, cough. Daisy is actually coming out.
Like, and there's
who
like 10
cares, right?
10,
like,
yeah,
who
10
cares
other
now?
games that have done it better already since it's come out, right? So that's the problem with this thing. But
No, but I wasn't there a game called Breach where you could bust through walls and stuff like that? Like that was if you had a game.
Yeah.
If you had a game like that game methodology, right? Like plaster that on something like this, it could be really, really fun. I'm just wondering. I mean, everyone's got to pay for the network enable on PlayStation, right? So you have to have that already.
I think this is the thing, like devs, I don't know, like I don't know because I'm not a dev, but maybe it's easier to patch in other human players than it is to write scripts of AI and all that kind of background stuff to do like just a co-op experience, like from Other Suns, for example. It's easier to do 4v4 multiplayer than it is to do like From Other Suns.
It's also longevity of the game, because I mean, like if you can AI can only do so many things, and if you have human players, that's like Zim says, a lot more chaotic. You can't really predict what you're doing. Every experience is a different experience, and with scripted AI, I think that's a little bit less.
But what I found, like I got into the Division a while back, and what I found was that people just cheat. You play with other people, you're like, yeah, great, I'm playing with other people, but this dude's got some like aimbot on, or he's like running through walls, or he's doing some other crazy stuff where he's just basically hacked the game to win, and then it just ruins the whole experience for everyone. Whereas at least if it's kind of just AI, they can't cheat in a way. So
there's another argument point here to put in, which we have all felt throughout the last couple of years, which is the wave. We were talking last week, right? Some multiplayer games, when the focus is multiplayer, oh, they're here, oh, now they're gone, right? And you go log in and there's nobody, there's no servers, I can't get a game up. So absolutely, Mike, I think your point is really valid. If you're going to make a multiplayer focused experience, even if they're not smart bots, even if they are dumb as dirt bots, just get something in there. Right? Just anything, but just get it in there, enable the option. But I think they did that with Gunfire Games title, Dead and Buried, right? They did that. So they had a multiplayer game they focused on, and then they came out with something that allowed you to basically get on with it in single player.
So you can play the Horde mode on your own.
Pavlov also introduced bots right from the beginning off in their game, Pavlov.
It's just, I think that if you introduce bots in a game and it's a VR game, then they need to like act a little smarter or more realistic. I think it's a whole different level of how you make a bot in a VR game than if you do it on a monitor. I think.
I see what you're saying. What you're saying is the level of expectation is higher.
It's like if I meet a bot, he should wave at me or something. Or it's like, hey, I kind of feel like that it needs to be scripted in a way where they do have some movements, not like where there's like a bot running around like this, while I can just swing my hand around with my weapon. They should also be a little more flexible and elastic.
But still, I agree with Sim on that point that like I prefer to have like something than like just an empty server.
Yeah.
No, that's true. Yeah, no, that's true.
And you're right, it is a big problem right now. A lot of people are releasing multiplayer experiences, but it's so difficult to play with other people. We're still very, very small, like, in terms of like the gaming industry, it's still small. And I love the fact that we're growing and that we're part of it that's growing. It's amazing. But, you just want more right now, just want more people to jump on board. But I guess that's what we're doing right now, right? We're trying to preach the good preach of VR and get people excited about it. So continue the good fight.
So, I mean, going back to Firewall 0 Hour, I would like to see more gameplay, because right now I don't really know what this is. And it's the same like when Payday 2, their trailer came out, the VR one. It's like, oh, wow, I can see the guy running through the door. He was actually running. I did see it. And then you're playing the game. It's like, yeah, but he's not running. He's just teleporting around. Or, where it's like, oh, he's robbing the bank that way. Oh, but when I played the actual game, it's not like that. I mean, in VR, that happens too, where the trailers are more epic than the games actually are. So.
It's a good point actually about Payday, because it's a title that again has been like the top of my list. I've really been itching to play it for a while, and you've actually checked it out, Zim. Is that right? And I get the feeling you were kind of disappointed in a way.
I need to go back to it. The issue is, right, unlike most games, I go in and I'm checking out Payday, and I put maybe 30-40 hours into the base game, and I'm not a huge fan of arcadey stuff. I'm more of a simmer, so I tend to like games where when you get shot once, like 1 or 2 bullets puts you down, not 60 bullets to the chest puts you down. So me going into that already was preloaded with like some bias, but yeah, I didn't have fun. I'm planning to do it again because I need to. When you've not had enough exposure time to really properly, rate a game. So I would put it in that box right now. Yeah. Lots of people are loving it. And I do hear that with the changes that they've made, patches over the last couple of weeks, it's materially changed the capability for motion control and all these things. So I'm very interested in trying to crack a safe with some buddies. Yeah. You don't have to be run and gun. That's the main thing that I've talked to people about. It's like play with a crew who's going to go in quiet and see what that's like. Apparently that's the strongest piece of the game right now. So I'm going to try that, and Mike, maybe you'll be on my crew.
I still need to try
to rub it back with you guys.
So can I be on your crew too?
Absolutely, Rowdy. Yeah.
We'll play nice, Rowdy. We'll let you play.
I'm putting a date on it. Maybe like next Friday or something.
I would love to rob a bank in like that Joker cell, where it's like, I'm gonna put a smile on your face.
Or you could do it as the Fupa King, because there is a H3 mod pack where you can play as Ela and Ethan Klein. So that would be cool. Vape Nation, yo.
Vape Nation, yo.
Oh yeah, like that's the cool thing. You got so many DLCs. You can also go for the Scarface DLC, for example. So there's so many DLCs you can get for Payday. Yeah. So you can just become something within a game too. So that's nice.
Are these just characters? Like,
character pack / weapon skins, and also voices.
Sorry, I talked over that.
Well, I'll tell you about H3 after the show, so.
All right.
It's basically weapon packs with characters in there too, and voices, and to dress up a little nicer in a way.
If you're talking H3 as in the YouTuber, then I know the guy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. You can be them in the game.
Why would you want to? But anyway, okay.
Okay, so moving on to Justice League VR. So this came out. Oh, Nathie, slow down. It came out on the 5th of December. It's obviously made by Warner Brothers to promote the new film Justice League, and they invite you to join the Justice League in a thrilling cinematic virtual reality experience that allows you to step into the shoes of these iconic superheroes, that being Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, The Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg. So you can have little experiences. I think they're like 5 to 10 minute bite-sized experiences for each character, and sort of check out their superpowers. But from what I understand, like I haven't played it yet, but I'm planning on checking it out later on today, is that it's not very good. So from the gameplay that I've seen, it all looks very basic and tech demo-y in a way. It looks like something that would have been sold when the DK2 was out. That's how bad it is. It's kind of rough. And the worst thing about it is they're charging money for this. So it's a movie tie-in that is basically just there to promote a film, and they're charging money for it. $7.99 in British pounds. $10. Like, it's just ridiculous. So
from looking at the trailer, I had like a little bit the impression it's like a mobile title, you know, like something I would play on like my cardboard or something.
That's the kind of quality we're talking about. Like, it looks like they spent more money on the trailer for the game than they did actually on the game. That's my impression, anyway.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I had no problems with the game, like, being bad in a way, you know, even if it's like, we know what movie experiences can do. This year was very surprising in a way with Blade Runner and also Coco VR. Yeah. But come on, we still have those movie experiences out there that aren't that great. I mean, casual movie games weren't great either. Of course, like the Lego games were nice, but you also had like games where like, man, you know, but it should have been free, you know. If it was free, then no one would have complained. Now you actually give people a certain excitement, and then they're like, I finally got some money. I worked so hard at the supermarket or wherever I worked, and now I can buy this game, you know, and then it's just trash in a way.
Yeah.
You know, like, let's say money wise, because you paid for it, it's bad. If it was free, then it would have been less bad in a way. You know what I mean?
Still bad.
It's like in terms of the things that are out there right now, like I've played a few of the kind of Marvel things and stuff that's kind of fringing on the superhero side. I don't think it's been properly tapped yet. There hasn't been a game that I would have counted as fun. The closest one was probably Megaton Rainfall, which I would say is the closest to Superman, and that's on PlayStation 4. And then you've also got, obviously, Windlands does well for the kind of the Spider-Man vibe, if you want to be web slinging essentially. But I'm surprised we don't see like a Tony Stark Iron Man, because I would have thought that like what we've seen in what Fallout 4 is going to bring, the kind of techie side of it, the interactivity, all the gadgets, seems like, and being a rich boy in a in a mansion or whatever, you could do that a lot. And I don't know what game would come out of it, but it feels like that would be a natural entry point.
But maybe that's the entire point, like, because it's such a big franchise that the market of VR is just a little bit too small to already tap into that right now. I mean, they maybe want to see the market grow first a little bit before they start bringing that franchise to this platform. I
think you're right. I think you're right. It's too big a gamble right now. Like, think if you had like Wolverine's claws, you know, and you could just properly like get into people.
Gorn?
You would break so many things in your room.
Gorn has claws, you know?
You can do that in Gorn.
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah.
I need to jump in again.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder, right, though. Like, it makes me wonder if you guys could choose a character from the Justice League that you would identify with. Which one would it be?
Googling Justice League.
Yeah, it's like
maybe Mike can say the options again.
These are your options. Then you can be Batman, you can be Wonder Woman, you can be Spider-Man, Aquaman, the Flash, or Cyborg.
I've always wanted to be
Justice League
from the Wonder Woman. Thank you.
Good choice.
I want the lasso of truth wrapped around the ankles of some hot tamale.
I have to be honest though, if I was Wonder Woman, like, I don't think I'd ever leave the house.
I think I'd be with Mike or Zim in the house.
Yeah. I mean,
what about you, Nathie?
I would say I would love to be an Amazon too, in a way. You know, I mean, that's pretty badass.
Just hanging out with all the ladies.
Yeah, like when I watched the movie too, it's like, so they're only women, you know, on an island. It's like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. I didn't know this. Is she supposed to be Amazonian?
Yeah.
Haven't you seen the movie?
Do you know? I haven't actually seen the movie yet.
It's actually a really good movie. It's actually.
I heard that. I'm definitely gonna watch it.
It's really funny too.
But it's not good. I don't like it.
The thing is with Amazonian women, right? Most of them were archers, and so what they would have to do to get a good shot, right? They'd have to cut a breast off. Like, that was the whole Amazonian thing. They really didn't.
They didn't do that in the movie.
No, I was talking about the movie one. Okay, I wasn't talking about that one.
The lopsided. No, that's part of the whole. That's part of the whole mythology. Anyway.
Yeah. No,
so I guess that that Rowdy would be the Flash, obviously being the fastest YouTuber.
You need to
alive.
ask. Of course, I'm the fastest YouTuber alive. Of course, I'm the Flash.
Yeah, he's slow compared to Rowdy.
I don't know.
Exactly.
I'm gonna go French. I'll just choose Aquaman.
But anyway, like,
What's his power? Is it like brushing teeth or something? I mean,
Yeah.
Calling fish.
He makes really good fish fingers.
Gonna come around yours, Mike.
Yeah.
Nice.
I can make a mean fish finger sandwich, that's for sure. But this is the thing, like with this whole Justice League thing, it's made by Warner Brothers, and me and Nathie actually met someone from Warner Brothers recently at the Oculus Unwrapped event in London recently, and they were showing off Fantastic Beasts there, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, right? And that was just such a great movie tie-in experience. Again, I would imagine it's going to be free, but it was very polished. It was voiced by Eddie Redmayne. It was like it ran parallel with the movie because you were interacting with the beasts that are in the film, whereas these are just kind of like a bit cliche. It's just. And you're paying for it. That's the worst thing about it. You're paying for it. $7.99. But I would right now just say just stay away from it. Check something else out.
Like if it was free, then it would have worked a lot better in a way, because people jump into the VR. They're like, okay, okay, it's kind of bad, but it's also kind of fun in a way. And then they go to the movie. But you're not gonna charge people the price of a ticket that you also pay for the movie. Then people just go to the movie. That's the first thing they do. Like, keep in mind, not everyone has like twice the money to buy that game and also go to the movie. You know, that's not the way it works. So I kind of think they killed the VR experience by putting money on it. Yeah.
Or even they could have done something smart like Dispatch did with the in-app purchases. They say like you like the first one.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
You like the first one, you can unlock the second one for like 60p or something like that. So it's just like a cheap popcorn experience in a way.
But I really don't like this chapterized DLC module where you say, okay, you like module 1, well, module 2 is 50 cents, then module 3 is another 50 cents. Like, I'd like it to be a taster and then full purchase. Get rid of the administrative work hassle of having to buy all these various bits and pieces. That just should not exist in games, in my opinion. It's like completely that model.
Completely agree.
Yeah. But like in terms of experiences right now, if you want to be Batman, just go and check out Batman Arkham VR. If you want to be Superman, go and check out Megaton Rainfall. That seems like a really cool game.
And if you want to be a lumberjack, just buy a lumberjack suit.
And if you want to be Wolverine, get Gorn.
Go play Gorn.
Yeah. So wait, what is it? Is it bracers?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the claws.
Like full claws. Yeah. But you can be the Wolverine.
And you can get Gorn on. Gorn is only on Steam, right?
Yeah.
This people is someone that spent like 2 weeks in Skyrim and is now wondering what is out there in the world, in a way.
During the whole intro, I was like, I'm not.
I cut through this forest. Wait, is this 2017? Where are we? What is this? Sorry about the noise, by the way. I got like neighbors that just like, they just got here, so
yeah.
That's why I hear those funny noises.
Don't they know who you are? Tell them to keep the noise down.
Go there like, hey, go watch your podcast now, and you will understand how important this is.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on from bad VR experiences to some funky new additions to Oculus Home, and that is the new Home experience and the new Oculus Dash. So on the 6th of December, you can now enable the new public test channel update. So you need to go into settings, then go into beta, and then select the public test channel to enable this update. But essentially, it gives you new home environments and this new Oculus Dash. So if you're completely new to this and were unaware, the home environments are now completely customizable. So you can move furniture around, have your achievements displayed on your walls. You can have like a retro games console with all the game cartridges that you own. So like Lone Echo, you can just pick up the game cartridge, slot it in your retro console and press go. And then a little VR headset pops up and then you just hold that headset to your face and then you're like jumping into the experience. So it's very, very nice, very polished. And then you've also got the Dash, which is this really cool menu overlay system, which you can fire up in any application. And I haven't had a lot of time with it, but what I've tested so far, I've really liked. And what I think will be great for us as content creators, especially for Uzim as like a Twitch streamer, is that you can put windows in your game, any window from a Windows desktop application. So you could have OBS, which is obviously the most commonly used video capture software, and have that running so you can see exactly what's going on your stream in game. without having to take the headset on and off. But you can also apply that to in-game chat as well. So like, say you're running a, like a live stream like this, you can see the chat in-game in a window, which is really, really nice. So yeah, you can go and check that out.
I had out the bat with trying it out was I couldn't tell if you could just grab a window and not go full monitor size. Does any of you guys know?
So you can, like, I've recently got a second monitor, and you can have both monitors side by side and show exactly what's on your desktop.
No. So instead of full desktop resolution,
yeah,
one small window. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, one tiny window.
One teeny tiny window.
Yeah, you can scale it. You can scale it.
No, I'm not talking about scaling the desktop.
Right.
I'm talking about picking a window off of your desktop. So, for instance, if you have like a pop-out chat.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that.
Yeah, because I was fiddling with it and I couldn't figure that out. But I would have to say that the way they've done the sticky positioning for like dual display and the resizing, as you said, I think they've done a very smooth version of that. And I wonder, the one thing I just hear is just like, I mean, big screen and virtual desktop must be, I know I was there when it was announced and I was there with Guy Godin behind virtual desktop. So shout out to that guy because his app is amazing. I've been using it 2.5 years. Exactly. Still think it's relevant. But when we saw that, it was like, God damn it, it's like it's gonna obviously override as the default for so many people. And I think once you get into your virtual home, although there aren't so many options right now, the objects that you can get, the fact that you're not rescaling the objects, they haven't unlocked that for their design choice. I think that works very well. So comparing it to Steam VR Home, where you can take your tiny little dinosaur and scale it as big as as big as it allows, but which is pretty large, multiple sizes of a person. For like any object, it kind of breaks the, it obviously opens up the door to creativity, but it breaks the kind of value of just having that item. And the other thing on this that I've noticed, when you unlock an item, you don't just get automatically 6 of them. You get 1, and you can put it one place in your room. So it gives you that materialistic feeling of, I've got this sword. I'm going to put this sword over here because I'm proud of this sword, and I'm going to put it on my wall, show it off to my friends. And the fact that right now, single player only, you can jump into a room with someone else's room and check it out. Like I went off and I checked out the guy behind the Half-Life mod, originally Wormslayer. Checked out his place. He had a stack of game cartridges like sloppily all over a desk. He had all his achievements from different games that he was proud of up on the wall. It felt like a gamer dungeon hangout, like a place you'd go into someone's basement, like a basement company or something, and who'd be selling games, and this would be the corner with all the games in it. The feel and the vibe you're already getting from different people, like making their homes up. I felt so much pressure on it that I went and made my home up this morning. I spent 2 hours with my daughter picking things out. Like I wouldn't necessarily have streamed that because I'm very picky, but it's like you pick out your home. And now I'll tell you, I'm worried more about the presence of my virtual home than I am my real home. In fact, my real home, it can be untidy.
So I've got to go and tidy up my virtual home now.
Can you go and steal from other people? No.
I don't think you have.
Rowdy, you always have to think about like this.
I mean,
controlling other people.
I need to keep the rowdiness level of this stream like high enough so that people know that what we're doing here, right?
I love it. But yeah, you're right. Like right now, it's just a single player thing. You can't actually interact with someone else in their home environment yet. But also, like you say, it's not quite replacing big screen in my mind just yet because you can't fix a big cinema screen to your wall. Right now, you just got the monitor display, so it's not that big. And certainly, when the new Ready Player One trailer comes out tomorrow, I'll be jumping into big screen to check that out because I think it's the best place to check that out right now. Yeah. But yeah, it's very, very nice. I think it's a really nice step in the right direction. I think you're right in that the resizing in Steam VR, it's a bit weird for me. And I've got like super OCD. So if I had one table that wasn't exactly the same size as the other table, that's going to just drive me nuts. So,
but they support it. The OCD piece, because I'm absolutely like that too. Like if these edges aren't, perfect, if I've got 2 monitors on my desk and one's like an inch higher, that would just even a millimeter higher, like it bugs me. So they did it. So there is a snap grid, and I don't know how they managed it, but they seemed to manage it with one control that you're able to kind of, if you put it against the wall, it'll say, oh, I want it to change the horizontal orientation. And if you touch the floor, it'll do vertical orientation. So it's very easy to manipulate objects and position them as you want them. And then they allow you to just grab the item which feels great because this is motor control that you are used to, and just place it on a shelf or place it on the floor or even let it go and let nature, and gravity take over. So I honestly am really impressed with the ease of getting all that finicky stuff just as you want it.
Yeah. It's a really nice step in the right direction. Yeah. And what we've seen from like Steam VR is that Oculus seems to be almost taking over in a way. It was 50-50 a little while ago in terms of headsets, like 50% Vive, 50% Oculus, but now it seems to be like creeping up a little bit.
I'm going to make the same point I made when I saw that post. 50% Vive, 50% Oculus. Oh, let me crush that down a second. Here's PSVR with 100 times the sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not even on the chart. But
okay, I mean, it's good news. I mean, it kind of means that like everyone's kind of friendly from both sides. Where you first had like Rift, Vive, blah, blah. And now it's more like I played some Vive games yesterday, and they appeared on my Oculus Home system. Where it's like, hey, you were playing these games yesterday. You want to continue? They weren't even on Oculus Home, so they. And that's really nice. So it feels more like open in a way. I think that's the way to go.
It would be interesting to know in a way how many people that own, for example, an HTC or an Oculus that also own a PSVR. Because I think you'd be surprised. Oh. I think that a lot of people get the PSVR simply because of the exclusivity or like after the titles.
Rowdy's a little quiet.
I mean, after so many like big releases for PlayStation VR that were exclusive, I'm sure a lot of people are like triggered after a while to get an extra headset.
Yeah. Have you used your PSVR recently, Rowdy?
I have. Yeah. I played Skyrim on it quite a bit. So it's actually the titles that are coming out on it are pretty great, if you ask me.
Yeah. But would you say that like you would recommend buying a PSVR if you owned like a Rift or a Vive already?
Difficult question, because I mean, if you really enjoy certain titles, then I think for the price that it is, it's an awesome experience.
I'm after Skyrim, flatly. I mean, you've got Skyrim, Resident Evil 7, Farpoint, Static. You got all these titles on there that you don't have on other platforms. Absolutely, if you've got the money for it and you got the financial freedom to you've got a Rift or a Vive already, as you said, Mike. I don't think buying a Vive or a Rift, like those ecosystems overlap enough, thanks to obviously what's the thing I'm thinking on Vive?
Revive.
Thanks to Revive and it's such a quality bridge, and the other way, just working natively, that isn't an issue. But PSVR, it's like you don't have access to that content any other way. Yeah. And as Rowdy said, the price tag is right. Like, I mean, for a third the price of the other headsets, well, maybe less of that now, maybe half, but definitely worth it to access the content, because you're going to miss that wave otherwise.
Yeah, but it's pretty much far less than a third even, because you don't need to buy a PC. You just buy a PlayStation 4.
And if you've already got a PlayStation, then it's super cheap.
Yeah. Because I got asked this question recently, actually. A guy was like, I already own a PC-based headset, but I'm looking at PSVR. What do you think? And I basically said, well, it all comes down to the games, right? If you really dig some of the exclusive titles, then go for it. Because that's the only way you're going to get them.
And don't get me wrong, I still think that HTC and Oculus provide the better VR experience. But as we all know, in technology, it's not always the better experience that wins. I mean, with Blu-ray and HD DVD, it was the same thing. So, I mean, if the content is there on PlayStation, then PlayStation will keep on rising and people will keep on buying it. And HTC and Oculus need to step up their software game, because otherwise they're not going to compete.
This is actually touching on a really important point that I think Mike, you shared with me.
Okay.
Which was that there's been a quote that has said that there will not be a new Rift next year.
So it wasn't me that said that, but I saw that quote as well. I don't know who said that, but I did see it recently, like in the last two days. But yeah, I think we all know that Oculus are very focused on the mobile market right now, and the Santa Cruz is their main focus. So I think you're right. I don't think we'll see an iteration of the Rift for a long time yet.
Yeah, at least another year is what they're saying, which is really quite interesting. I mean, it's fine. It works. I have no issue with it. The touch controls, I haven't heard a single person, and that's actually pretty impressive, say that, I prefer Move or the Vive controls. But then again, they are just a leap ahead of everything else.
Yeah, I've said this before as well. Like, I don't need a new headset at this moment. I mean, it's always great if like new headsets come, But what I would prefer much more is just really solid and good content with the current headsets. You know, convince more people to buy into that, and because the headset price, it will only drop, it will only become cheaper. And more people will buy it, and then it would be great to have like the content to support that as well.
Unless you're Nathie, of course. And then you need to collect them all, even the Virtual Boy.
No, true. I mean, this thing, this is pure art, guys. Like, look at this thing. This is beautiful.
It's a part of gaming history right there.
It's the best thing ever. This is just, you know, it's like, hey, what's up? It's not multiplayer though. It does have like I think it does have like a link thing, so you would be able to play together with someone else. But I mean, I agree. And with the PlayStation VR, they proved that they got some good games coming out, you know, with story and stuff. Like PC is still like not really, you know, we saw some good stuff, but not enough. I mean, that's the thing. If you let people buy a cheap headset, then be sure to keep them in that loop as well, you know. And that's the thing we have seen before, where people buy the headset. If it was expensive or not, it just ends up on the shelf because there wasn't enough interesting content out there. And that's a shame. And with PlayStation, it's like that community. Every time someone wants to put it on the shelf, there's already something new coming out, and then they just put it back on, you know. And with PC, like I can tell you guys that I tried my mixed reality headset a few days ago, and this was the first time for me that I felt like my Vive was outdated in a way. And I never had this before, but I was like, yeah, I don't know, this doesn't, like, I already had like the cracks in a way where it's like, yeah, I don't know, maybe this doesn't do it for me that much anymore, you know. And I'm not saying that mixed reality is better, but it's just like, oh yeah, the screen was very sharp in a way, you know, more crisp, and also the fact that I had less cables, and you know, it starts to get more interesting in a way, for me at least. But again, I agree with Rowdy. You know, bring some good games out, and then give me some high advanced headset that I might need for those games.
Because HTC just brought out their game, right?
Their game, Front Defense Heroes, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't tried it yet. It's a multiplayer World War II shooter. And first they announced it as an exclusive for Vive part. In the end, you can just play it on Steam too if you own Front Defense itself. It's kind of like a silent release. I don't really get the fact it's a World War II shooter for VR. I know there's a demand for World War II shooters for like the casual PC people, but in VR there isn't really a like market for that at this moment, as far as I know. But I don't know. They are just trying to see if they can get like a community on there. But let's be honest, guys. Like Onward and those PUBG clones right now are taking it over. Like this is not the right time to release that World War II shooter at this moment. But even more interesting, Mike, they also announced the price of the Vive Focus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's out now, isn't it, Nathie? You can buy one if you're in China.
In China, I'm not sure if it's like officially out. Is it officially out?
That's what I heard last week.
Okay, yeah, I kind of missed on that. I mean, I was like, I was in all kinds of games and stuff, but I do know that the price is like $600.
$600.
Yeah.
Wow, Vive Focus. Wow.
But it's like it's in China, right? So I mean, maybe there's like a different thing going on over there where people buy it for those kind of prices, and they don't have. I don't know. It's 600. That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
It's kind of like a downgrade. But on the other side, like you still need, if you wanted to have like a cheaper headset, you still need the PC as well. So it's always more expensive.
It is standalone, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm going to put my money on the table right now and say that the Oculus are going to come out of the gates with the Santa Cruz around the 400 to 450 price mark. That's kind of my bet.
The 450 ballpark.
Yeah.
Palmer Lucky ballpark.
Oh God, let's not start down that dialogue again. That was like a year's worth of price bashing.
But I think the price is going to be cheaper because they have a different market. You know, they are planning to bring this out in the US and Europe, right? And China, I think that's a whole different market where the prices are different too. Where they look for different headsets. As we mentioned before, the headset looks kind of funny in a way. It wouldn't really work in Europe or the US. Well, in China, they kind of like those gummy VR headsets with bright neon colors.
That look like Crocs right?
Yeah,
yeah.
that comment that Rowdy made about it looking like a croc was hilarious.
But I will make sure I get one over here so I can tell you guys more about what it is and what it does. So we got some more, but like in the end, it's not for us.
This is what I mean. He's got to catch them all. He's got to catch them all.
I gotta catch them all. Well, yeah, I got the. I mean, you know, I'm. People call me the king of VR, so apparently I can get every headset I want. So let's just make use out of that, then. You know, I just get them all.
So
like
this guy,
Japan is like, hey, Virtual Boy, yeah, we got one from '94. Yeah, sure, send it. That's how I fix everything. You know, it just happens. It's like, hey, who are you? I'm Nathie. Oh, okay, yeah, here you go. Like a palette full of VR boys.
So brings us on nicely. Nathie mentioned it in his before he went on a little rant. He mentioned PUBG in VR, and obviously that we're going to talk about standout VR. So it was only a matter of time before VR developers caught onto the coattails of this epic game, which is, if you do not know what it's called, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. We've had BAM, which did a pretty good job of doing a PUBG clone. And now we've got Standout as well. So Standout is sort of described as the ultimate fight for your life. You'll be parachuted onto a wide island where you'll explore your surroundings to find weapons and equipment to fight for your survival. You use vehicles to move faster and keep an eye on the deadly barrier as it shrinks the battleground during the game and forces players to murder each other. Only one will remain. So you've been checking this one out, isn't that right, Zim?
Yeah, we've been playing it. My initial impressions were like, oh God, these textures looked like there was a college kid who had a go at stretching a texture that was basically just out of Unity. It's not a pretty game, but the concept is pretty cool. You fly in on a plane, so it's very much like PUBG. Again, to compare it to Bullets and More, max player count 12. Standout has a max player count of 30. But there's a fun element to the game that that only kind of comes through in like 20, 40 minutes or something like that. Like you're playing it and all that, you're running around. There aren't very many items to pick up, I have to say. So you find your rare gun, shotgun, whatever. Shotgun, for whatever reason, has like an AK-47 clip in it. So there's some, there's obviously some breaks of reality there. But the cool things about the game that I really like, the map is quite mountainous. And so the terrain is quite dynamic. It's got drivable vehicles. It's got a drivable motorbike. It's got a drivable like dune buggy. And simply you're like holding it. You basically use controls to basically hold onto the thing and then hold down the accelerator, which is your trigger. And then the thing, like it goes, and it's a really rough implementation, but it just works. And I love when devs do this. Like they're just like, I'm going to put a feckin' vehicle in my game and we're just going to jam it in there and they're just going to play with it. And it's sloppy as hell. You'll even, as you're turning, shift out of the car, looking at your vehicle as it's going, and then you come back into it or whatever. Like this kind of stuff is just totally janky, but it works and it's really fun. So you're like driving along, you've got your guns. The other thing that's quite unique, I haven't seen other devs do it. Everyone kind of tends to do a pocketed ammunition grab. So you grab a bit of ammunition, you put it in pocket 1 or pocket 2 or whatever. This is literally just stick it to my body. Like just stick it anywhere. Just like ammo clips here, guns there, and you have a maximum number of things that can stick to you. So you can't go too crazy. But you can even, and I did this on stream, right? You can literally like take ammo clips and just stick them to your eyes so you can barely see anything. Like
very useful.
If you're a editor, you can do that.
It's amazing how those small devs always like meet the demand of what players really want to play, and it's so smart and it works. And then everyone is suddenly so surprised that a PUBG VR clone just works. No, because that's what people want to play. Exactly. They play it on a monitor. This is also what they want to play in VR.
And there's such a big community that is behind it, and they improve their game themselves by giving feedback to those small developers. And because they're so open to feedback, the game just gets better and better and better.
Yeah. So they they're just going live. Did they just go live? I think they just went live yesterday. So you actually buy the game now. It was kind of closed circuit before, and now it's just open and ready for people to play. And I think the only other thing that I just mentioned, which we were talking about a little bit before the show started, was that if you are a PUBG fan and you like the original, on their test servers, they've just released, we've been waiting for it for a long time, they've just released the new desert map, Miramar, which looks very interesting. It's undulating terrain and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, that's 2D stuff, so we'll move on from
2D, it. 2D, not relevant.
Standout is like you get that PUBG feeling when you bail from the plane and you see 30 little like red parachutes like going off like this. Like it's a really good feeling. So
is there any way like when you start the game that you're all in the plane together, so you can talk to each other and like give each other some like a bit of like bants, you know?
That's the default. So the
Oh, it
default
is.
is actually open mic and all that. Now they just implemented something where you've got like a radio on your belt, which you can pick up and
Yeah,
talk.
like
so I think people had probably been asking for, how do I shut these other people off? So in the options menu, you can stop people talking in the lobby, stop, you know, you basically mute all sounds. So it was like a kind of an on or off switch for everything. And some people I think just wanted to be able to talk to a teammate or something like that. So they now have that new system. I haven't played with it too much, but it's generally just a load of people talking, you know, college humor over the mic as you're playing. So, and the fact that you can walk up to somebody, I mentioned that you're like a sticky sheet and you've got guns all over you. I can walk up to you, Mike, and just grab a gun off of you, load it, cock it, and kill you, and then take the rest of your stuff.
Like, that's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of fun.
So out of the two games, like BAM or Standout, if you had to choose one, which one would you go for?
Still BAM for the moment. I still like, I think there's too much of a scramble. Like weapons are too rare. It kind of feels like you can literally run around for 15 minutes and find nothing.
Oh, wow. That
doesn't feel very good right now. You have to, and that's even factoring like, you know, several hours of gameplay, knowing where weapons spawn. It can still be 10, 15 minutes where you're like, I got nothing. And there's no start or anything. You don't get a knife or anything way to defend yourself. You're just running around with your...
But how many games do have like a PUBG mode right now? Like Pavlov also has one, right? I did see like more like games trying to implement like tiny PUBG game modes and see how the public reacted to that. So that's interesting in a way.
There's some other modes coming as well that are really fantastic. I don't know if you guys are aware. So some of you have Bullets and More. I totally wrote it off, but there is a mode that is basically an alien hunter mode, where there are two infected, say there's an X number of infected players, which is like 25% of the population, and 75% is the remaining human population. So say you got 4 guys or gals who are human players standing around with guns, and 2 who are basically like the hunter from Left 4 Dead. And it is bloody awesome to coordinate with each other and be like going after someone and then just getting in their face and eating them. And then you infect that person. So it's this like growing horde. So it's kind of like a poison that's spreading. Amazing. That's really good. That's in BAM.
I always wonder with those like PUBG titles in VR, like what happens basically if you get killed and there's still like so many people left to is it just waiting up until
or can you game done, kick you out?
So you need to start or find a new game that you literally start?
So this game is really interesting right now because there's no server browser, there's no system for your friends. All you can do is press the play button and it throws you into the available server that's counting it down. That's how it works. And so you basically just say with your friends on VoIP or whatever, you're like, okay guys, 3, 2, 1, press the button and get in. And then chances are you're in the same server.
Okay.
The good thing about BAM though, like you said, Rowdy, like when you're out, it had a really good spectator mode.
Yeah.
So that made it really interesting. Like, because I suck at these games, like, and I was out a lot, so I spent a lot of time in the spectator mode. But what I did find in the spectator mode is that you can overwatch like the whole battlefield, and then when you get these like little choke points where 2 players are going to meet, you can zoom right in and watch the action like it's like
that's
an action
awesome
movie
feature. That really is an awesome feature, and I think it's important for like those kind of games to find a way that because I had that a little bit with Onward. You know, if you died like in the beginning of the match, it could sometimes take like so long before you would get into like a new match if you want to play with the same people. And the thing is, if there's like enough people online, then you can just like I'll just join a new game. But if there's not, with like new titles like this, I always wonder how they go about that. But
yeah, and this is the point, Mike. You made I can't believe I forgot the cinematic spectator mode, because the best part about it is, I'll just say these demands to the developers out there. Number 1, keep me in the game experience, right? Don't send me back to the menu. Number 2, allow me to make friends online. And if you can stay with the same group of players in the action or watching them, even if they're 10 times better than you, because I'm like you, Mike, I'll get killed off sometimes early. That sells the game to me. So yeah, there's no right now. You know, if I was to give 100 points out, 80 go to BAM. You know, 20.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not killing it yet, but check out either title.
It starts to become more competitive too if you can add friends in a way, and then have like a group playing together. I mean, with these kind of games that I never played PUBG. I never really played one of those games. I think they are very interesting. The only thing that for me wasn't that that didn't grab me was the fact that I couldn't team up with friends. I played Fortnite for the first time, and with that one, it was like, oh yeah, I can be with a team now, and we can work together. So yeah, if you got that team thing going on, then it's much nicer. I'm not really a guy who likes to play alone. I think that it's more fair if you are with a team, because everyone can learn from each other in a way. You know, and you can get carried a bit too, because I'm a noob. I'm just talking around and then suddenly I'm getting sniped because I'm not paying attention. You know, so. I'm one
Just
of
so
those
you're aware,
players.
Nathie, before someone raises it in chat. So PUBG has 3 main modes. So there's the single mode, which is
I know there is now like a team thing, but back then when it came out, it wasn't really like that. So
when it launched, it wasn't. And I think right now this one, so Standout does not have the capability for teams, and I don't believe BAM does either yet. So I'm hoping it would come though, because like Nathie, it is more fun if you're playing with like duels or 4.
Yeah. But and looking at the prices, I just checked online. So Bullets and More is available on Steam right now for $10.99, and you've got Standout, which is available for $11.69 in British pounds. It was $19.99, but it's got a 40% discount right now. So they're both kind of similar prices right now. But you would say, Zim, check out BAM over Standout.
BAM is
what was the price on
too,
Standout? Full price?
$19.99.
Feck that. No way. With the textures in that game, feck off, not paying that price. But, you know, if they were charging £6 for it, I'd say it'd be fair. But
it has more content, though, by the way. I mean, BAM is around for a longer time. I mean, the Standout is more like, okay, PUBG, that's what we based the whole game on. And the other one is like, they were first a shooting range, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And then they so there's a lot
to see that progress
you can do in a way.
And you know, we talked earlier about the spike up and down of, so this like little mountain that appears. So you'll have a game come in, you know, everyone's talking about it this week, and the next week everyone's moved on. I really feel from my play style so far that BAM's got a longer curve, and I think that Standout, from what I've seen of it so far, is gonna be very spiky. So if you want to play it now. I wouldn't wait.
Okay, cool. Okay, so moving on from chicken dinners in VR. We have got Ready Player One is going to be a new trailer is coming out tomorrow. So if you're interested in Ready Player One, the movie, which I'm pretty hyped about because I was a big fan of the book and I listened to the book, the audio book regularly, like while on my commute. They're launching a new trailer tomorrow. And what I didn't realize was that Simon Pegg is actually going to be playing Ogden Morrow. I don't know if you guys knew that. Simon Pegg's going to be in the movie, yeah. So he was kind of like the guy that owns the Oasis, which is kind of like a Mark Zuckerberg type character. His best buddy, which is Ogden Morrow, is going to be Simon Pegg. So that's going to be really, really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing the film even more now.
Sorry, did you say when it's launching?
So the actual film itself comes out on the 30th of March next year.
Okay, we'll have to do a party for that.
Yeah, I'd love to. Like, I was actually planning to watch the trailer in big screen, like I did previously. So on the previous trailer that came out, I watched it in big screen with a buddy. So if you guys are free and want to drop in and we can all watch it together, that would be very like meta in a way. It'd be kind of cool.
I think you said it, Mike. What was the release time?
So it'll be at some point tomorrow. I think it's around sort of midday tomorrow for us in the UK. Right. So yeah, go check it out. The new trailer is going to be very, very interesting indeed. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw it out there to the chat to see if they've got any questions. Like I've mentioned on previous shows, I never sort of like see the chat or like how many people are watching. Like no one could be watching right now and I would have no idea. I just carry on talking as if there's someone watching at least. But
there was a question a bit earlier, Mike. I've been watching throughout the show. Okay. So there was a question a little bit earlier on. It was a point related to the frame rate. So someone, Carlo said, the strange thing is that with the PS4 hardware, the VR games work perfectly and are smooth. With my GTX 1080, I have some problem in refresh rate. And actually, this is something that we've covered before. I have that same thing. I find the Rift is less susceptible to it for me. The Vive is a little bit more susceptible to it. But PSVR runs rock solid. And so, although you might think of it as the cheapest headset, I actually think it's from a smoothness perspective, reliability, it's the most reliable for me at the moment with software.
And also, I mean, in terms of textures, they probably do like some modifications on the PSVR, and also they ensure that there's that frame rate is always there. They know what equipment everyone has. It's so much more easier to develop for something like that, I think, than it is for a PC. maybe I mean I can't say that for sure, but they probably have like some kind of mechanism built in as well, that if the frame rate would go below it, that you get like a double frame or something, that you get to prevent that like less than smooth experience from happening. I would assume that they would do that, since they on the Vive and on Oculus you have everything like, you know, asynchronous time warping and all those kind of things you can put on to make sure you have a smoother experience in case your equipment does not allow for it. So I assume that on the PSVR they will also have something similar like that built in. I
do notice that, and especially if you play games on PC that are Unreal Engine, they're kind of, you know, pretty intense for your PC, even if you got like a pretty rigged PC in a way, you know, buffed up one.
I've also noticed that from talking to devs recently that there's actually some real strict requirements when it comes to VR titles. You know, there's policies that you have to adhere to on the PlayStation platform and the Oculus platform. Not quite sure if it's the same on Steam, but basically it all comes down to comfort. And if you don't reach that barrier, then your game's not going to get launched, essentially. So that's kind of why you find that the Oculus experiences and the PSVR experiences are sort of a bit smoother in a way. And the Steam can be a bit of a Wild West sometimes.
No,
maybe
I agree.
That's got something to do with it.
Yeah.
But like talking about like a crazy hardware, I don't know if you guys saw it, but Nvidia announced their new card the other day, and it's going to be like the Titan V. So you've got like the Titan X, and now you've got the Titan V, and it's like a $3,000 graphics card. So,
I've already pre-ordered 3.
Yeah. I need it.
Sorry, hon, you're not going to go to college.
Isn't there any news on like the Volta, or when is that coming? Because I've been hearing about that.
So that is
card.
the first Volta card.
Is that the first Volta? Is that the first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rowdy, get one, please.
So you know, it's kind of cool in a way because it means that the rest of the consumer cards are coming soon. They generally release a few months before like the Titan version. So maybe in a few months' time we'll see the next generation of Nvidia cards. And I think that's the time for me that I'm going to jump in and get a new card.
Yeah, me as well. Me as well. I'm still rocking the 980 Ti. And I was so jealous when Nathie got, because Nathie got the 1080 Ti like a month after I bought like the 980 Ti or something. I was like, why'd they do that now? Like I just bought a card, like you bloody idiots. But then I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna buy the 1080 now, because I mean I could buy it now, but then I probably regret it if like in like 3 or 4 months they come with like a new card or something.
I usually just jump from one graphics card to another, so I'm like, okay, I buy it on release. And then I just buy the next one. You always like you sell it again for a certain price. You need to pay some extra, and that's how you like keep on hopping around in a way. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it always takes a while. Like this card is gonna be out, and it's hard to get it for some reason. And then months later, it's like it's everywhere. You know.
I can tell you why now, Nathy. There's a lot of people been griping about graphics cards not being available.
I know why. I know why.
Bitcoin.
Oh yeah.
You know that?
Also,
they put them in the rigs for farming,
okay.
and there's this huge spike up globally of people building Bitcoin farms and trying to go after the price of Bitcoin.
Don't you need like a different kind of graphics card for that? Like one that is more like for like processing instead of like video?
No.
Like a Quadra or something? Yeah. You don't need it though. No, you can use a standard stock card.
I think historically Radeon cards, like AMD cards, have performed better for crypto mining, but Nvidia does work. It does work.
Dude, if you want to go for the full rig, just buy a Tesla and mine Bitcoins with that.
Mine Bitcoins with a Tesla? Yeah, that's next level, man.
But anyway, like before we go, I would like to ask Mike, because we played VR chat last night, and I know we have been playing it before with Mike. It was his first time. This was like his real like first time. Yeah. Please tell us what what you saw. What like how can you like sum this up? What happened?
Okay, so like if any of you are out there watching or listening to this show, just go and download VR Chat. It is for free on Steam, so there's no reason why you shouldn't check it out. They apparently had a record number of concurrent users yesterday. It peaked from 800 to 1,000 concurrent users, and that's a record for them. So it's really good for them.
We were a part of it.
We were a part of it. We were there. We were we were doing all sorts of crazy stuff, but. The more I try it, the more I'm really starting to love this community, because everyone's really, really friendly. Everyone's really passionate about their avatars and being in character in a way. You get these people that role play. There was like Peter Griffin in there who was doing the voice. There was like chickens running about. There was anime girls. You name it, it's in it. It's crazy. And Nathie took me to this like museum where it has pretty much every avatar available, and you can just click on it, and then you can become that avatar.
You guys need to take me there as well one time.
Yeah, it's so cool. We were on a pirate ship. We went to a nightclub, and we were like DJing at the nightclub.
Yeah,
we
he
went
was
to the
suddenly
VIP.
DJing.
And then this meme turned up. Like, I'll let you explain the meme because I don't really understand it. Yeah.
Right. We got the Apache Entertainment who's saying that we need to. Well, speaking of VR chat, you guys should set up a time to meet the Inside Podcast crew. Just a thought. That'd be fun.
We've actually talked about this.
Yeah, we were like in a dance club, and they had like a karaoke thing going on there, and also a DJ, and they had like Christmas visuals with like hologram Christmas trees, and it was really cool. And then I said to Mike, like, why do we not do like a meeting with YouTubers and have like, you know, some kind of like convention going on within VR chat, where you have like a panel, first of all, where we have people listening to us, or after that we have like a party where we can just have fun, you know, something like that. It could be fucking crazy, you know. But I mean, I introduced Mike to the presentation room. This is like, you got a few memes in VR chat. Presentation room is basically, a presentation room. But there are people there showing off their avatars, and there are like groups everywhere standing around. You got like anime girls, like tiny hobbit persons, you know, and like there are groups everywhere, and everyone just messes around. And we also went to the Great Pug. Now this is like a VR chat's own like pub. And there were like 130 people in there. And yeah, I mean, we had someone that was in there for the very first time, you know, and yeah, I mean, everyone is very friendly. It is kind of like a weird place too, you know, in like maybe a sexual way, you know, let's be honest here. I mean, that happens too. But overall, it's like they seem to have everything under control, and the community keeps it nice in a way. I think like VR chat has already, for me at least, a cult status. It's like Second Life in VR.
Yeah, it's like, if you can imagine like the social side of Rec Room, but with more adults in it than children. That's kind of what you get. You know, it's very cool. And like we went to like a sledding room, which was like a snow-based one, and then like Nathie would sit on the edge of the sledge, and I would push him down this like ramp. It was just hilarious. It was just so funny. And like Nathie was dressed up as Superman, and I was like this like weird mantis. It was just super weird, but it's like the best fun you can have on a Friday night, you know, without getting drunk out in the town.
Yeah,
just go and check it out. That's what I would say.
Yeah,
but yeah, there's nothing that could be said. Like, we're gonna do some videos, I think, and like you say, maybe after the show, we can maybe do a meetup in VR chat with some of you viewers and listeners, and you can talk to us in real life.
We should do whatever's the closest to like New Year, either before or after. You know, make it kind of like a like a party thing. You know, years ago, who was it? I think Palmer Lucky said that. He's like, oh, I don't know, but next year it's going to be a party around my place in VR, and that never happened. I've always been a little bit hurt over that it never happened. Let's start a thing. Let's meet in VR for celebrating the new year.
That sounds like a plan to me.
Right. All right. There's a question here in chat, which I think is a good one, and I don't know if all of us will be able to answer it. But the question is, Carlo again asks. He says, "I have a question. I want to buy a new game, The Mage's Tale or Chronos, or something other better." Throw that out there.
Wait for Fallout.
I played a bit of Chronos. You'd wait for Fallout. So out of the two, I would go for Chronos, only because I haven't played The Mage's Tale that much, and Chronos seems like more of a sit down, chill out experience that you can just kind of unwind after a long day. Like, sometimes you don't want to be jumping around like a lunatic after a long day work. So if that's kind of your vibe, then I'd go with Chronos. It's a longer experience as well. Like, it's quite an epic adventure from what I understand, maybe 8 to 10 hours. And it's kind of like Zelda in VR. So if that's your bag, then go for that.
It's a third-person VR game. I mean, honestly, I would go for that one too, since, I mean, there aren't that many third-person VR games out there where you really look into a cardboard box in a way, where it's like a magical world around you, and you just look at it in a way. So I would go for that one too, just because it's a different kind of genre in the way you look at the game.
Yeah. And from my side, I mean, I unfortunately started Chronos on the toughest difficulty.
Oh shit!
Spent 40 hours in it. Got 30% of the way through and bailed because I couldn't beat it. It was beating me, and I couldn't justify putting more time into it.
Yeah.
But the quality is there. It was the first VR title that I remember playing that felt AAA to me. Like it feels like you took something like a Tomb Raider or a game like that, and you just brought it into VR. And the scenes are done in a way that I haven't seen another game do that well.
Yeah.
So I think it's a must, in my opinion. It's a must play. It's like do your homework, go play Chronos.
Yeah.
So of those two titles, that, and if you want to stay on the edge and rather be at the kind of leading edge of this, I'd say what Rowdy said, you know, go for something in the Bethesda Barrier Reef.
Yeah, because Fallout 4 is tomorrow, right? So
TikTok.
We'll know more next week. I'm sure we'll discuss it next week. Because again, we don't know for sure whether it's going to work on the Rift or not. But you know, based on what happened with Doom, I would imagine it's probably likely. But we shall see.
The circle is almost complete.
Yeah.
This is the last piece of those 3 games, and then we can put them in like a top 3 as well.
Yeah. So I think we'll round up this week's show. It's been an awesome show chatting with you guys. So just to remind you, this is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show. It's live streamed every Saturday on Nathies YouTube channel. Tune into the show live at 4 p.m. in Europe, 3 p.m. in UK, 9 a.m. in Central US. You can check out the show on my own channel, Virtual Reality Oasis, tomorrow. I upload the whole show there. Or just listen to the audio-only version, which is available on Google Play Music and on iTunes. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We really appreciate you coming and checking the show out. We're having lots of fun making it, so thanks for stopping by. And we'll see you next week on next week's show.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.